This is Dianne Andrews in Black and White. The issues you don't want to talk about. The arts and entertainment you need to know. And now here's your host, Dianne Andrews.
Thank you, audience, for the warm reception. I'm Dianne Andrews, host of Dianne Andrews in Black and White. I want to thank you out in TV land for watching us. I get stopped a lot of days, especially when I look pretty good. If I got jogging suits and looking tacky, nobody knows who I am. And here in Baton Rouge. I also want to thank you at YouTube. YouTube.com is where you go to see it on YouTube. We have 29 shows out there at the end of this month, and you just click on the pink dress after you put Dianne Andrews in black white in the address bar on youtube.com, and then all the shows will come up on my channel. We've done so many things on bullying, Islamic State, domestic violence, addiction, spirits, miracles. We have just done a lot. You'll just have to go out, and we're getting great reception on what people are thinking about the show. But if there's something we're missing, if there's something we see that's out there in the world that needs to be discussed, things you don't like to talk about but need to know, please let us know. Thank you. Today I have three very wonderful guests with me. Two of them are women. The subject that we're going to talk about today, as you see on the screen, is rape in America. A very tough subject to talk about. The two women I have with me who were raped are Regdricka Jones and Dr. Gwendolyn Honore. We have a lot of tissue here for my guests today because sometimes when you talk about things that hurt, it hurts you to talk about them. I also have Captain Cory Lalonde from LSU Police Department, because as we know, 1 in 5 women are raped in college. That is 20% of everybody who attends college, is what the statistics are saying. In fact, President Obama they have a new act called the Sex Assault Act, and we'll talk about some of that with the reporting differences now that the universities have to do into the federal government. But I'd like to first talk about these two beautiful women. Both of them were raped. 80% of all raped is younger than 30. But both of these women were younger than 15. Bill Cosby, as we know, everybody's talking about rape in America. Bill Cosby is accused, I'm not saying he did it, but by a lot of young women. And everyone wants to know, why did it take them so long to now what they say is the truth, or to come forward? When I was in college years ago, a guy tried to rape me. I was not raped. So I can understand, you don't really tell anybody. It was one of my homeboys, we call them. And I needed to go to the grocery store to get some food. And he said, oh, I'll take you. He was 4 or 5 years older than me, but he was at the university. And so I got in the car with him thinking, okay, it's perfectly fine. And he said, I need to stop by my house, by his apartment. So we stopped there. And for 15 to 20 minutes, I fought this man. And I'm not a big woman. And I fought with everything I had. And God was so good to me that he let that doorbell ring, and somebody came in that I knew who could take me home. So, but did I mention it? I said, I don't even think you'd think about it. People are not going to believe you, probably, and the guy is going to start telling lies on you. If you say he did something, he's going to say you're lying. So because I wasn't hurt, but if I had been hurt, as these two women, I can understand why it takes longer to tell the story. I'm going to start with you, Regdricka. Regdricka Jones neither one of these women let these two men win. As my mother used to say, don't let them win. Don't ever let your enemy win. And my guy now says, I want to win. And I say, don't let them win, but also you got to be in it to win it. So they're in the game now to win because they're telling the world their story. Regdricka's uncle sodomized her from 12 and a half to almost 15 years old. Only sodomized, which is bad enough, but I mean, he never entered her vaginally. Vaginally. Tell your story, Regdricka. He is now in prison.
Yes.
Your uncle, who had done it before,
yes,
to another young girl in Alabama before he moved into their home.
And I just recently found out to my aunt as well. So it had been a lot of more victims than, had came out during the case. But
to your aunt, which was his sister.
Correct.
He raped his sister.
Correct.
As a little girl or as a grown woman?
As a little girl.
How much age difference were they?
She is a little bit younger than him, maybe like 2 or 3 years.
He's just a sick individual. Was all of this sodomy, or did he?
I have no idea with that.
Yeah.
I have no idea with the other little girl in Alabama. He came from Alabama to live here with my mom. He was fleeing from, because stuff was coming out. This
that was his girlfriend's daughter.
Mm-hmm. And you know, she didn't know what was the gist of it. It was Mardi Gras time.
Mm-hmm.
He came down and I guess for Mardi Gras, and had an extended stay and ended up.
He is from Louisiana, though.
He is from Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, okay.
That's where my maternal grandmother lives,
Mm-hmm.
and so he came down here to, you know, visit for the festivities, and just kind of ended up staying,
Mm-hmm.
but was running from what was going on, because that was coming out with what was going on with his girlfriend's little girl. And,
do you know how old she was then? About your age?
She was around about my age,
Mm-hmm.
12, 13 age. I didn't turn 13 until November, till later that year.
Mm-hmm.
So this was in 2002,
Mm-hmm.
and 2003. And so, you know, it started out, this is my favorite uncle, by the way. I have no first cousins. So I don't have any, like, you know, friends. I have siblings, but I don't have any cousins my age. And normally when you have a lot of aunts and uncles, you would have a plethora of cousins, but that wasn't the case. I don't have any first cousins. So all my second, third cousins are in their 30s and stuff. So I really got close to my uncles and my aunts.
Was he, what, 15, 20 years older than you? How much older was he?
He's 15 years older.
So you were close. He was 27,
right.
you were 12.
Right.
Yeah.
So he was a young adult.
Right.
And so we would do things like talk, like go take walks in the
saw
park.
that, yeah.
It was very innocent for me. I thought it was innocent.
Right.
But he took advantage.
Do you really think he took advantage of it? He's so sick, he thinks every woman wants him that talks to him anyway, since he was doing this to multiple women.
Yeah.
Because what he tried to tell you is you wanted this. You shouldn't walk around in these little short Daisy Duke jeans and showing all this. And did he like affectionately hug you and kiss you?
It was always real. I mean, it's your uncle. He tickles you, you know, and then it started to get too far, you know.
Now, that's your mother's brother.
This is my mother's brother.
Was your father in the home?
No.
Okay. That's right, your aunt, the other aunt is who called the police, because the emphasis on this story is he is in prison right now.
Yes.
And I want you to know that if you do tell it, a lot of people can be put in prison, because a lot of people don't.
Right.
I want to get to Dr. Honore here. I do want to say that both these women, as I said earlier, did not let them win. But she has a doctorate in theology, Dr. Honore does. And Regdricka got a BS in finance from Southeastern University. And she's a very outgoing person, and she still kept her same personality through this all without telling anyone, and how, and I'm going to let you tell them how people finally found out to put him in prison, and then we're going to go to Gwen over here.
It had stopped. I had prayed, you know, I remember it was 2005. We had ended up, you know, I had ended up giving it to God. I told my older sister, and I started to get bold when because it was every night. He would come in my room every night, and I started to get up and be like, what do you want? Like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want? And he would never say nothing. He would just come in, move me where he wanted.
Well, you were toward 15 years old now.
And so I told him, like, what do you want? And my sister, you know, had started sleeping with me in the bed. Like, we had just got extremely bold, so it had stopped. And I would say a few months had passed, and she had some stuff going on with her, and he had came to the rescue. She had some stuff going on with her boyfriend, and he had came to the rescue. I'm 15, she's 2 years older than me, so she was 17. Her boyfriend was getting rough with her, and so this is the uncle I'm about to come.
He's the savior now to help her.
And she was like, I don't want him near me. You know, I don't want him near me because what he did to Rika. And so that, you know, then it was like, well, what did he do? And then they came
telling your mother. This was talking to your mother.
Right. Because both of them, my mom and my uncle came to rescue for my sister, and then it was like, well, what are you talking about? And that's how it came out. And the next thing you know, Child Protective Services got involved. I'm talking to the DA, and this is just way bigger than what I imagined. And it took about a year for him to.
Did he even try to tell your mother? Well, she wanted it because she was always with me, dressing provocative with short. He told your mother this.
That's the route that they were going. And then, you know, I was 15.
It's still statutory rape, even if you did want it.
I always looked older than my age. And so when I actually started going to court and I had to testify, the defense tried to make it seem like I was of age because I was 15 that just turned 16, and I was 16, almost 17. You're almost an adult. Well, this didn't happen. Yesterday.
But almost is still not an adult.
Exactly.
That's right.
So
again, the big issue is here.
It's Andre.
Andre Washington is now in prison.
Yes.
And has been for how many years?
He's been in prison 9 years. He was sentenced
he got
for
life.
10.
Oh, he only got 10 years.
10. If the little girl would have if she would have came from Alabama to testify, it would have given him more time. But they only gave him 10.
You did a great thing, and it's a courageous person. Now, let's hear your story, Gwen.
Okay, when I was about 3 years old, I remember being picked up and placed in a bed, and I remember this person on me, and then when he finished, it was like I was
This was a relative
there.
Also, right?
This is a relative, and it continued. So I was so young, and I don't even think I knew what was going on because I was like 3 or whatever. And so as I got older, it kind of continued and then I started telling my grandmother, that this was happening, something was going on there.
You lived in the home with your grandmother?
Yeah.
Your mother did not live in this home?
My mom lived there, and
so
my
both of
sister
y'all
too.
lived there.
That's why I can't understand why no one knew, because it was looked like
but
a
how
house
old were
full of
you?
people. I was 3 at the time.
When you were telling them, what did you say?
I think I was maybe about 5 or 6 when I finally just kind of stayed away from him. I just tried to beat him up or whatever. And I remember being a little young
You tried to
kid.
beat him up at 3 years old?
About 4 or 5 or whatever.
Okay.
I was trying to beat him up.
Yeah.
And I remember getting a big spanking for that because my grandmother told me I had to respect my elders.
Because he was telling her a different story.
Well, he didn't say anything. It was like I was just being a bad child. I was tagged as a bad child. And so I don't remember all the details because, like I said, it was a long time ago, but I do remember trying to tell her that he was peeping through the bathroom door at me. And I would tell all the time different little things. And then finally she said, don't start any mess in my house. And she said, if you start any mess in my house, I'm going to put you out of here. And so as a child, I was afraid because my mom and my sister, we were staying with them, and my mom didn't have a really good job or nothing like that. So we sort of depended on my grandparents.
How long did they do this? From 3 to 10, I think?
I remember, I think I mentioned to you 3 to about 10 years old because at the time, my other relatives started coming in my bedroom.
Yeah, it was 2 relatives you told me.
2 relatives.
And you don't want to say what relationship, am I correct?
No,
okay.
because
that's fine. But there was another uncle, Donnie McKirkland, the gospel singer, was raped, of course, sodomized, he's a man, by his uncle, his mother's brother also, and that uncle's first cousin. He still suffers with, homosexuality issues based on being raped by his uncle. And Ashley Judd was raped, another famous person was raped. Lady Gaga was sexually assaulted. So it's more common, I think, than people know. How did this, was it more like a dream to you being such a young child? Did you just think I was having a bad nightmare sometimes, Gwen?
I felt like I was unloved because I remember my grandmother saying, by the time I was 10 years old, she kept saying, you're going to be pregnant by the time you're 10. Then she'd say, by the time you're 12. And, she would say that every time. And so I would, I'm not going to be nothing. I ended up talking back, which I was really sorry for. But I talked to a minister, and he said what I did was break the curse that she was placing on me. And it was just a hurting
Do you think
thing.
she knew that her son was doing this and wanted you to be the bad child, as she called you?
Okay, well, since you've already said it,
Oh, Lord, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I think that she probably knew, but she didn't want him to go to prison.
Do you think he had done it to other people, maybe?
I don't.
Did he live in that house?
Yeah, he lived there.
Well, it was 2 relatives, so the other one I won't say, but it was two relatives, and I didn't mean to say that. But
well, see, I would wake up after I got older, and somebody was just on me, and so I didn't say anything. I had low self-esteem.
The same tricks did he use that people used with Regdricka, that you wanted it, and at 3 years old, how can you want it?
More like, you didn't ask them to tell on you if you tell or whatever. And so
I'm going to kill some. I've heard Donnie McKirkland said that I think his uncle had raped him, said, if you tell your mother, I'll kill her.
Well,
his sister.
But the threat was that my mom and my sister and I would be put out on the street, and I got that from my grandmother. So I didn't say anything, and I would go to school. I had low self-esteem, and I would be like.
But you went on. You got a BS in journalism, a master's degree in mass communication, and now you're a PhD, your doctorate, rather.
Doctorate,
yeah.
But to let you know that it was just hard because I felt nasty and dirty all the time.
Did
and I
being married to your first husband help you overcome this nasty feeling?
No, because I didn't tell him about it, so he didn't know this had happened. I think I was writing notes a lot and trying to write a book.
Journalizing things?
Yeah, and so then I ended up telling him, and he didn't really believe me.
Your husband?
No, he didn't believe me. And then I left the notebook at my mom's house, and she happened to read it, and that's how she found out. And she was very upset. But see, knowing...
We're getting ready, though, to go to a break in a minute, and I just wanted to... Gwen has written another woman's story, Too Scared to Tell, who some similar things happened to, who was also raped by a relative. I think this phenomenon is more common than we know here. We'll be right back.
Order your copies now of Dianne Andrews' latest books, Third Man Out, a suspenseful mystery by Dianne Andrews, and Gumbo for the Heart, 25 stories of faith, hope, and charity, both available now on Amazon.com.
Last year in Time magazine, they did stories on rape in education in America. 20%, 1 out of every 5 college students are raped. And most of those, 1 out of every 5, 1 out of every 6 women in America are raped. 1 out of 33 of those people who are raped also are men. Captain, I want to ask you, tell me about the statistics at LSU. I know when we only have 2 years, we're 2 years behind. 2013, 10 women and men, I guess, were raped at Louisiana State.
Sex offenses, yes.
Do we know how many of the 10 were?
Two out of those sex offenses were actual rapes.
And how many were any men? Were any involved in the sexual assault men?
There were 2 male individuals that were victims, but it was of sexual battery.
So they weren't actually penetrated or raped.
In those instances.
And those numbers, I believe, if you look at 20% of 30,000 students, they're extremely low. I did look at some other colleges. Penn State is 57, and we know that's probably because of the scandal that they've had up there, that they are more reporting up there.
Right.
If you look at the Harvards, the Stanfords, they're in the high 20s and low 30s, which is still low for what the average statistics are for rape in colleges, the 20%. What's your feeling on how to get people to report it more?
I think, we do know that based on nationwide statistics that there are a fairly large percentage of these types of incidents that do go unreported. I think one of the things that we have to do and that we've tried to do is to make the reporting process easier and somewhat more comfortable. Obviously, this is a very traumatic event that people are going to go through. Our response when we get initial reports, not only does our patrol officer respond, but we do things such as have an investigator go out that particular evening and talk to the victim directly. If you can limit the amount of times that the victim has to tell the story, you avoid that re-victimization.
Right.
So I think that in accordance with, and in addition to that, at LSU we have the Lighthouse program, which is a
that's something that LSU started at.
LSU started at the Student Health Center, and it's geared to dealing with not only sexual assaults, but helping individuals that are victims of dating violence, domestic violence, as well as stalking. All of those are covered in that area, and they can help provide the emotional support. They can help the individuals not only file a police report, but if they want to go with the university route of the disciplinary system within the university according to the Code of Student Conduct.
So if you find the offense, they can still tell you, I want to take this further. I want to go to the city police to file a case with them.
No, it would fall under LSU Police Department to investigate that, and we do fully investigate all of those. What I'm talking about is the university route as far as the disciplinary with the Dean of Students' Office of Student Advocacy and Accountability, because there are judicial remedies within the university and according to their student conduct that they can do as well as the criminal investigation. So we work hand in hand with not only with the Lighthouse program, we also work with STAR, which is the Baton Rouge Sexual Trauma Awareness and Response personnel. We work with them as well. You know, it takes a collaborative effort of all of these entities to be able to assist a victim or a survivor of these types of incidents.
Yeah, survivor is really the term we use
Correct.
today, right? I know President Obama has the Sexual Assault Act, which requires more reporting, I think, from the universities into the federal government, and that is probably putting a little heat under universities to find out more of what's going on and to try to instill, not that you weren't before, but to instill larger programs with more emphasis on please come to us. This is not punitive to tell us. We need to know to help you.
Right. You know, it is, again, it's a situation that you know, there's a wide variety of resources that the university community as well as other advocacy groups can extend to these survivors. The key to it is, and it's not always easy, but the key to it is that those incidents are reported.
Right.
You know, the door to those resources stays closed until someone says something. Then those doors can open and those resources can become available.
On your LSU television, radio network, do you all ever have like, you know, Domestic Violence Month and different, you know, that's, I think it's November, I remember it's purple. I did a show for domestic violence, the color is purple. Do you have like where you go in and tell people, please let us, how are you getting people to feel, because it's very difficult, as I say, I was attempted and I didn't tell anybody. They were raped and it took years before they told anybody.
Well, we address general safety issues, from everything from just general safety on campus to this type of subject. We address through student orientations. Myself, I give a lot of the presentations, safety presentations to various groups, various organizations on campus. We also have assistance through the Student Health Center with the Lighthouse program. They're advocates. They go out and also give presentations and talks, and we try to educate however we can. You know, anytime we have an opportunity to talk about it and encourage people to report these types of incidents and explain to them the resources that are available and the processes that go into it when they do report it, we take those opportunities because we do want more people to report.
Do you have female police on at LSU?
Yes, we do have female officers.
So if I were raped, I'd probably maybe call you, but first thing may be to go to the health center.
Right, and that's one of the things, you know, again, you don't have to come to the police to report these types of incidents. You can report it to the health center, you can report it to a trusted family member, or a university official, or anybody else that you trust. Again, once you start the process of being able to tell someone about it, it opens up the doors to all of the possibilities that can come to your advantage.
And really, that's what we want to show here in this show, that the more you tell people, the better it is. There used to be more stigma, I think, where, and it still is, men always tell you who rape you, and again, 10% of people who are raped are men. And most of the rapes by men are by other men, is what I have read.
According to the statistics.
80% of all rapes for male or female happen when you're younger than 30 years old. Right. So 1 out of every 33 men are raped also. So it's not just a woman's problem, but it is still a problem mostly for women. Right. Is there anything that you all would like to leave with the women out there who may be living through a domestic violence situation that may end up in them being sexually assaulted or just sexually assaulted? Most people, it seems, are by the people they know. A lot of this. And one other thing I was going to say, Animal House. I was reading something about a lot of the parties on these campuses, you know, the thing that they say in here is get the woman drunk. That's what they want to do, is get you drunk and then, you know, take advantage.
You know, the majority of the instances, whether it be any sex offense, whether it be a sexual battery or whether it be an actual rape, the majority of the incidents that we have particularly seen on campus, generally a high percentage of those do involve alcohol. A lot of people worry about, and while they are out there, a lot of people worry about date rape drugs, so to speak, Rohypnol, people placing things in drinks. What we try to emphasize is that the #1 date rape drug in the United States is alcohol.
It's still alcohol, right?
It's alcohol by itself.
Pure alcohol with nothing in there, just alcohol, right?
The statistics show that you know, the chances greatly increase when alcohol is used by the offender as well as by the victim. Not to blame the victims, but those are additional risk factors that can be associated
I
with
think
it.
any woman, though, the first thing they may think is, was what I had on caused this? You know, was I provocatively dressed as your uncle tried to tell you? There's nothing I can tell you as a 3-year-old. My God, what could you have done wrong? I mean, what kind of pervert goes to a baby and puts him in a bed and gets on, you know, and has sex with that baby? That's a real nutcase.
Can I add something? Can I add something?
Oh, sure.
Okay. One of the reasons also that I didn't tell after I start remembering what had happened, it's because you're ashamed.
Right.
And I heard older folks talk about girls who had been spoiled and no decent boy would want them.
Right.
And so when you don't have support from an adult, then you don't come forward, because when you go to school and say, for instance, if the police get involved, then you're the talk of the town.
Right. You're from a small little town outside.
Yeah, and so you're a target for other boys who think you've been there, so let's go again. So you
cut
don't
your chance
tell.
on getting
And
a
my
good relationship with a man.
Yeah, and my mom had always said if anybody harmed us, she would kill them. So I could not see my mom in jail. So I had a lot of reasons why I didn't talk or didn't say anything.
Do you think if your daughter had come to you, if this had happened to her, would you have been more supportive?
Oh, yes, indeed. I mean,
and you have a 7-year-old.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell me how would you handle it? And are you doing pre-talks with these girls before?
I think that it's more so of, you know, initially just saying what happened.
Right.
You don't know if you were reported what happened to you. That may have stopped him to going further with somebody else.
Right.
And it happened to so many other women with my uncle. I just feel like, you know, the fear of the shame and all that is stopping us from saying something, which is letting the men continue, or
they're winning.
They're winning.
Yes.
You know, so I know how hard it is to tell, but you don't know if telling that might save so many other women.
Yeah,
down the
you're
road.
right. And people are not thinking that way when the act happens.
Right.
But is there anything real quickly? You left something, and you left some words of wisdom to people. Anything else real quickly?
Oh, yeah, well, I told my children very early on, before my husband even knew. But the thing also is I tell ladies, you know, don't leave your children with your boyfriends, stepfather, and things like that.
I did
you
domestic
know?
violence.
Don't trust
This
anyone.
9-year-old girl was put in bed for the mistress, for the guy's mistress. Her mother would leave her with him. But we're going to have to close this session right now, and we may continue doing some more things on rape and domestic violence together. We've done 2 separate shows, but we may do something together because they kind of go hand in hand. Thank you very much. We'll be right back with the close of Dianne Andrews in Black and White. I wanted to thank those 2 very courageous, beautiful women for telling us their story to help other people. And I want to let you know Dianne Andrews in Black and White is the first place that they've told the story. I always do a close, and I think especially today, let's go out and burn white lights of gratitude for everything that we have in life. And let's burn a white light for everyone who's suffering, from the homeless to the rape victims to the domestic violence. And let's pray for peace. Goodbye.